Possibility. And joining me now is Democratic Senator Chris Coons of Delaware. He's a member of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, great to have you with me on this Saturday morning. I'm trying to get a sense here of Democratic strategy going forward, with the caveat, of course, that I haven't seen the report. You haven't seen the report. What would you like to see happen next here in terms of order of operations?
I'd like to see the report. I'd like to see as much as is possible, and I think Attorney General Barr should be proceeding this weekend to convey to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees the principal conclusions of the report, and then as soon as possible, early next week, as much of the report as is possible. Given the ongoing investigations that you just listed, there's three areas that might justify the Attorney General holding back some small portions of the report, either those that would interfere with ongoing investigations, those that are the fruit of grand jury deliberations which require a judicial order to release, or those matters that are classified because they have to do with Russia's interference with our 2016 election, which Congress is capable of handling in a classified setting. Other than that, everything in this report and its work product should be released to Congress. Even the president and his attorneys are now saying release the full report. So it's my hope we'll get there as quickly and as reasonably as possible.
Senator, is it your goal that I, for instance, see that report? Would you be satisfied if Bill Barr said, come on over to the Kennedy building, you can come into a secured room, and you, the senator from Delaware, can take a look at this and glean what you can from it? Does it need to be released to the public?
I think as much as possible should be released to the public. I recognize the three exceptions that I just mentioned that are appropriate limitations on how much should be printed in public. But I do want to make it clear to folks that we're not going to see a report like independent counsel Ken Starr released against then-President Bill Clinton. That was several hundred pages long. It was lurid, it was overbroad, and it detailed a lot of information that did not rise to the level of chargeable offenses. Given all the back and forth that's happened about that report and other reports since, I expect Robert Mueller is fairly circumspect in what he forwarded to Bill Barr. He's chosen, instead of delivering one great big report that hits at one time, to use a series of what are called speaking indictments. He has indicted 37 people in the 22 months of his investigation. I think 7 of them so far have either pled guilty or in one case been convicted. And I think, you know, if Mueller had instead delivered all of that in one day in one report, the American people would be reeling from its scope. Instead, because it has been dragged out over 2 years, we have gradually become adjusted to the idea that now President Trump, as a candidate, apparently surrounded himself by people who are now convicted of felonies or have pled to felonies, either for lying to Congress or lying to federal investigators or misrepresenting contacts that they had with the Russians. If delivered all in one report, that'd be a pretty stunning development. That it's happened over 2 years, I think, has allowed time for folks to adapt to it. It's also given President Trump 2 years to constantly campaign against this investigation, something that no previous president has done at this level or with this ferocity.
Last question here, just on the matter of benefit of the doubt. When you look at that letter that Bill Barr sent to Capitol Hill yesterday, how much benefit of the doubt are you going to give him? That he is going to work with you, that this is going to be a conversation, that you're going to see what you want to see?
Well, when I was considering whether to vote for the confirmation of Attorney General Barr, part of what I weighed was his statements to us in the Judiciary Committee that, you know, he was an institutionalist, he intended to defend the integrity of the Department of Justice and to follow rules and procedures. And I found that reassuring and considered voting for him. What I found very troubling was his own initiative in writing an 18-page memo as a private citizen that he sent in, challenging the obstruction of justice theory upon which Robert Mueller seemed to be leading his investigation. So I'm concerned about Attorney General Barr, and I think we in Congress have an independent oversight responsibility that we should jealously guard and actively execute on, because our role is to make sure that even if there are no further indictments, that we have access to the information that led to that conclusion. I'll remind you the Department of Justice has a policy of not indicting a sitting president. So it's possible that there were acts uncovered that are concerning or alarming, that are worthy of oversight, and of further consideration by Congress and the public, but where there wasn't an appropriate pathway towards indictment.
Gentleman from Delaware, Senator Chris Coons, thank you very much for the time on this Saturday morning.